What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Broadened Horizin. I'm your host, Drake Riggs, bringing you episode 7, the first of 2021. Did you miss us? Well, have no fear, we are here. Thank you so much, as always, for watching or listening, you guys. This episode's lineup consists of 5 guests this time. All sorts of history being made. Can you believe it? Here we are, doing our thing. First, we have one of Japan's best flyweights who is fresh off of her 20th career win at Deep 100 Impact, Shizuka Sugiyama. After Shizuka, the rising young bantamweight prospect Takumi Tamaru joined us ahead of his RIZIN debut at RIZIN 27 on March 21st. Then we welcomed back our first two-time guest of the show, and what better person could we have asked for? None other than the atomweight goat herself, the champ, Ayaka Hamasaki. She, as well as the rest of the final 2 guests, are also back in action at RIZIN 27. Following Ayaka is UFC N1 veteran Kazuki Tokudome, who squares off with Roberto Satoshi de Souza. And last but not least is another former UFC competitor, Yoshinori Horie, who goes against Tetsuya Seki. Thank you to all of them for joining, and to those who submitted questions, and a very special thank you to Mr. Dave Fretz himself, who helped put together a fantastic surprise piece of artistry, you could say, which you will see in one of the chats later on. But no spoilers, you guys. You just have to watch and see yourself. And wherever you are watching or listening, all versions of Broadened Horizin can be found on mymmanews.com, those versions being video, audio, and Japanese audio. All right, enough intro. Thank you again. Let's get the show rolling. First up is Shizuka Sugiyama. So I wanted to wish you a late happy birthday, by the way. I know it was your birthday this month. So did you do anything special for the birthday?
Yeah, thank you very much. I couldn't eat any food or any cakes, so just normal day. I spent just normal day.
Mm-hmm. Right, because the fight was coming up. And speaking of that, congratulations on that win and being a part of, the big
Thank you very much.
20th anniversary show for, Deep 100 Impact.
Yeah.
How was that being a part of something, a really big deal, a 20-year anniversary for the show? Was that an honor for you?
Yes, I was very honored to be there. Kitaoka-san, Kitaoka-san, Shoji-san, many legends were there. So Saiki-san said to me, are you fighting on that event? I was, I can. So I was very surprised that offer. And I was happy to be there.
Yeah, and you were the only female fight as well, so did that make it a little bit more special too?
Yes, I didn't know that, but my debut was jaws, kind of deep jaws. So my MMA life is on deep. So the anniversary, if I could celebrate. That was big opportunity.
Yeah, and then you went out there and got the win, very impressive first round, ground and pound, really, some vicious stuff there. How, was that how you imagined the fight would go? It was pretty quick.
Yeah, I imagined that.
Shizuka, I was curious about your start in MMA too, how you got into it, because I know you have your karate background, right? The black belts. Just how did you start, to get into MMA, and how young were you?
I was a student, physical education at university.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends around me were Olympians. No, not all, but many friends train for Olympics, and I watched them. I need to do something like their. I I felt they're emotional,
Hmm.
so I decided to be something champion, and then I met karate club, karate dojo.
Hmm.
Just that, and then I started. I was big. I was over 60 kilos, and karate is not so. There's no so many the
Divisions?
weight class
Yeah.
divisions.
Hmm. Yes.
so so on over 60 kilos, I competed. Yes, Kai
Hey, what's up,
in
man? Good to see you.
Kayasakura.
How are you?
元
Hey, man. Good to see you
気で
again.
すかって言ってた。
How
Sorry.
about that? That's funny. He was the first guest on my
Yeah.
show.
The older brother there too.
Okay, nice. Very
Okay,
cool.
sorry. That's the start. My start MMA.
Very cool. Very cool. And in terms of
Okay.
any inspirations that you might have had growing up or when you first got into MMA, is there anybody you looked at that kind of inspired you?
ミノワマンですね。
It's a very good one. Plenty of history that he has been a part of. Um, and to look at kind of you mentioned already how deep a big part of your career, Jules, and fighting, when they were Jules before being deep Jules, just the importance of, that promotion, not only to you, but to MMA. How important would you say that the deep Jules has been in MMA?
最初、寝技
So when women's MMA was happening in Japan, it was a lot of a ground game, and Deep Jules kind of set the bar with standard MMA, and it kind of reintroduced what's going on internationally. For me, I've always felt that Japanese women's MMA, our industry, we were the ones who kind of started focused on Japanese women's fighting, women's MMA, and we feel like we've been doing this. We were the ones who were putting in all the time doing this. But as time passes, I was very it was kind of disappointing to see that the level of competition and the whole concept of women's MMA has kind of been taken over by the West. And that's when Deep Jules came in, and they set the bar with at the international level for women's MMA. So I think I was there. I've seen it all happen. So for me, I think in that sense, Deep Jules definitely has an important part of our industry right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned it right there, how you have seen it all and been fighting for over 10 years now. Is that crazy to think about, having been in MMA for that long?
Yeah. こんなに長くやるとは思ってなかったです。
So for me, I didn't think that I would be in this for this long. And in terms of like the memories of my career, but let me speak about let me speak for women's MMA is that we've witnessed Pride, we were there for Dream and now RIZIN, but now to see that women's MMA is such a big part of a big promotion like RIZIN, it's very nice to see the progress and to see where women's MMA is in the biggest stage of Japanese MMA.
Was that kind of a goal that you had, when you started to kind of help, propel women's MMA to where it is now today? Was that something you thought about?
目標は、そういう目標はなかったです。
No, I did not have those ideas in mind.
It's funny, Shizuka, because from watching your career so far to this point, and as it still continues, I feel like you always have been a fighter who really kind of tries to have more fun than being too serious. Is that something that you kind of try to do, or is it just how it comes off?
多分、now,
So right now, my current state of mind is I'm very serious about this. But before, I've always been in this thinking that this will be my last time, so might as well have fun. So that was my mentality. I think that's what you caught.
どうにか楽しもうっていうのがありました。言う通り。
So that's yeah, very interesting how it all gets received, I guess, by the public when we see you going out there and doing your thing. And speaking of kind of having fun and that side of things, I know that you're good friends with Kanako Murata, and you guys do some training every now and then. Just curious, what is it like, working with somebody like Kanako, who a very fun personality as well?
楽しいです。
Yeah, so she's definitely a very fun person to be with. But in terms of practice, I think, starting to work with her, the level of the quality of practice has gotten up, and I think my style has changed based off of her coming to training. And we've been knowing each other for the past probably 3 or 4 years, but it's been nothing but great. We hang out during personal times as well. So she's a very good person to be with.
Absolutely. I can imagine always fun times getting to chat with Kanako when I've been fortunate enough to do so. But as for you, Shizuka, of course, like I said, got that great win at the 20th anniversary show. And I know that, you mentioned, maybe fighting in RIZIN next, something you want to do. Is that what you want to do next? What are you thinking for when your next fight will be?
今のところ
So for me, I don't really have a specific person I want to face at the moment. So I think as long as I can keep on fighting, I don't really care where I fight. But obviously, RIZIN's a good choice. But Deep has always, they've been approaching me and they've been kind of hinting about a belt as well. So, and I do appreciate that. And, for me, whatever fight, I want to continue to fight. I want to fight various people, opponents. So wherever I fight, I'll fight. But meanwhile, all I can do is just train.
I know it's a little bit difficult right now with how the world is, but do you have hopes of getting, maybe to America at some point and fighting for, whether it's Bellator or the UFC or maybe even Invicta? Is that something that you kind of hope to do in your career?
ないとは言わないですけど、そんなに現実的ではないです。
I would be lying if I said I don't, but I honestly don't see it too realistic for me at the moment.
Have any of those promotions ever contacted you? Because I feel like it's surprising that, they haven't wanted you, that you haven't been there yet. I feel like it's something that should have happened by now.
ないですね。
No, they haven't reached out.
Okay. Interesting stuff there. Well, maybe soon, maybe sometime soon, and especially when things get more back to normal, like I said. But also I was reading, internet articles and being translated through Japanese to English might be a little bit off, but I was seeing how they were saying like maybe you had some weight issues or something with this recent fight. Is that nonsense, or are you thinking maybe go up to bantamweight at some point? What's the status there?
いや、別に問題はないんですけど。
So weight cut it's never easy, and it's always tough, but that applies to everybody. So let's just leave it there. But as far as going up to bantamweight, it's that's just too big for me.
大きすぎるかなと思います。
All right. Was just curious about that situation, and the weight classes are always interesting, moving around and whatnot. But also, Shizuka, you're very popular on YouTube. Just to shift gears to that, great channel that you have, the platform there, your YouTube channel doing very well. I'm just curious, how fun has that been, making videos and content online? I know you've been doing it for, a year now? How has that been?
そうですね。まあ、できることをやってるだけなんですけど、はい。楽しんでいます。
Yeah, I'm just trying to make what I can, make kind of content what I can, but I do enjoy the process.
For sure, it always looks like some fun stuff that you're putting out. Try to check them out when I can. Also I know outside of fighting related things, you're also into skateboarding, right? Is that a hobby you've been doing for a while, or is this something new that you've picked up?
オーストラリアにいるときに一生懸命やってたんですけど、今は一週間に一回も触らないです。
I used to practice a lot of skateboarding when I was in Australia, but now these days I probably don't touch it once a week.
What were you in Australia for?
ワーキングホリデーです。
She was out in Australia for with a working holiday visa.
All right, very cool, very cool. What'd you think of that country? I know it's always fun to, go to places that you don't usually go to, right?
柔術を習いました。
So I was there around 2011, I believe. But I do feel that they had a lot of love towards jiu-jitsu, and I was able to practice get some mat time there. It was about the time where the UFC would be coming to Australia. They like the sport, and they're all nice people.
Yes, I've had nothing but good experience with the Australians as well. So I was very curious about that. And I'll just leave you with two last things here, Shizuka. Thank you so much again. Nicknames. I always like to hear the stories about nicknames. And I don't know if you still use this one, but the big newcomer of hope. I'm curious the origin story to this nickname.
それって当初ですよね当初。わかんないけど。多分、デビューの時につけられたんじゃないですか。
I think the newcomer of hope was named for me in my debut fight. I'm not quite aware of it.
Okay, so another one of those random nickname stories. Kyoji had one of these where he didn't know he had nicknames. So that's funny. I always have to get to the bottom of it. So there we go. All right, we'll leave you with this, Shizuka. 2021, it is here now. We're moving along, getting ready for March. It's March for you guys now. Just curious, what are your goals for this year? By the time that it's 2022, what will you have wanted to achieve in this year by the time we get to the next one?
今年は、RIZIN の
So my goal this year is to get a win in RIZIN. And if Deep is going to make a title in their division, I would like to go after that. So pretty much, winning all my fights will be my goal this year.
Absolutely. Always a good goal to have. But all right, we'll leave it with that, Shizuka. This has been great. Thanks so much for the time. Big arigato gozaimashita, even though I know you know your thank yous. But yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it greatly. And, wishing you all the best in the rest of the year. I will be tuning in to whatever your next fight is and the one after that and after that. So just thank you so much again. And, take care.
ありがとうございます。Thank you. See you.
Yep. From there, we go to Takumi Tamaru. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me today, Takumi. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Means a lot that you would come on the show. Appreciate it. Excited for the big debut, man, on RIZIN. What was your reaction? Getting the call to fight for RIZIN. I'm sure that, very exciting moment for you.
そうですね。すごく嬉しい。
I was simply very excited to get the call. And for me, I'm actually very excited to see how my MMA style, how my MMA is going to work in the biggest stage in Japan, and how it's going to be received by the audience and the exposure it gives me.
Definitely, and we're all looking forward to seeing it, man. Was this kind of something you imagined, earlier on in your career ahead of this moment, like something you were visualizing and hoping, to get to do at some point, fighting for RIZIN?
そうですね。始めた時
So when I started in MMA, RIZIN, there was no RIZIN. So obviously my goal was to, get to the UFC and aim for the UFC. That was my goal when I started. But the doors for Japanese fighters to become a UFC fighter, to get that contract to the UFC, were all shutting down. It was just getting harder and harder for Japanese fighters to make it to the UFC. So as I was in my career, kind of without a goal, without a set goal, that's kind of when RIZIN started to really shine with their bantamweights, with their divisions. So I think at that time, that's when RIZIN really started to shine in my eyes, and I kind of shifted towards wanting to competing in RIZIN.
Do you kind of feel better or more motivated by having a goal, something to work towards, like UFC, like you said, or RIZIN now that it has appeared, or when you're in that state of not really knowing where things might go, just kind of going with the flow and having less pressure on you? Is there a difference, you would say, in terms of, looking too far ahead? Is that something, you even think about?
そうですね。まあ、どうなんですかね。
So I have to admit, I don't think I have the strongest mindset and the strongest mentality. But I try to use that as an advantage because I know that I'm not the strongest mindset. I try to push myself to the limit and over the limit by having a goal. So to answer your question, setting a goal definitely helps me get better and proceed.
Definitely. It's always nice to have something to work towards or, see some kind of picture in the distance. But, speaking of those pressures and maybe mental strength and what have you, a lot of people view you as a very highly touted prospect, somebody who's very skilled, obviously, and, has a lot of potential. So when you hear people, if you hear people, saying these things, do you take that in at all or do you try and kind of ignore it?
So before, when I would hear these compliments and receive these compliments and all these hype, I would get excited. I'd be very excited. I'd be happy and grateful. And he's got a strong heart.
All right, we will wrap it there, you guys. Just 2 this week, and of course 4 more additional great guests that we had to kick off 2021. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and just look forward to the rest that we have coming in 2021. Gonna be a good year. Can feel it. Gotta get the stank off from 2020, right? So we will see you next time. Appreciate all the support that you've given us from those first 6 episodes in the last year to this one here and going forward. Thank you so much, guys, and we will see you next time.